This episode of the Creep Street Podcast is brought to you by Martini Coffee Roasters. You know, people always look at me weird when I say I start off every morning with a big old martini. But then I set them straight, and I tell them I'm talking about Martini Coffee Roasters coffee. A delicious coffee made by the Martini family. They roast their coffee using a traditional method of sight and sound to roast those little babies to perfection. And they also sell green coffee beans for those home roasters out there. And right now, fans of the Creep Street Podcast can get 20% off their entire order by using the code CREEPSTREET at martinicoffee.com. Once again, for 20% off your order, use the code CREEPSTREET at martinicoffee.com. Martini Coffee Roasters, the perfect coffee to keep you creeps caffeinated.
You've taken a wrong turn down Creep Street.
Citizens of the Milky Way, this is Dylan Hackworth.
This is Maureen Bogey.
And this is Creep Street. Really quick up top. Of course, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Creep Street Podcast. Twitter at Creep Street Pod. On our Facebook, there is a subgroup, a forum called Citizens of the Milky Way. It's a little place we like to interact with our listeners daily with memes, jokes, articles.
Yeah, and it's not just us, though. Everyone. It's kind of just like an open group for everyone. Everyone's posting stuff, theories, thoughts on episodes, thoughts on things that we haven't done episodes on. Things about all sorts of dang things.
Absolutely. And you know, anyone can be a part of that. Just go there, Citizens of the Milky Way, click Let Me In. One of us will let you in. And of course, now we're going to talk to you a little bit more about our Patreon at the end of the show. But if once a week is not enough, of course, go to patreon.com/CreepStreetPodcast for goodies and all that stuff. Why are you laughing?
The neck pillow. So funny.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
I'm recording this in a neck pillow. But yeah, go to patreon.com/CreepStreetPodcast.
That's right.
But you know, you probably will notice a hastiness in my voice. You'll probably notice that I'm speeding through the intro.
Well, why?
Well, by the way, we will shout out the name of our top-tier Patreon donors at the end of the show. Quick announcement. As you all know, the Creep Street Podcast was going to be at the Fear Fair this month on the 25th in Vegas. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, they had to postpone, but the event is now 2 days long.
Yes.
It's going to be even bigger. It's going to be Friday, the 13th of May, 2022, and May the 14th, Saturday, May 14th, back to back, and we will be there for both dates. So sorry that we can't see you this month, but it's going to be even better in the spring.
Oh my gosh, we are so looking forward to it. So just you gotta wait a little bit longer, but we swear to freaking God, it's going to be worth it.
Absolutely. Now,
Dylan, what's going on with you right now? I don't know. So you seem flushed and I'm sweaty. I don't know what's going on.
I am rushing through these introductions because I cannot wait to talk about this week's episode.
This week, we have something exciting, something that has been requested by multiple people, something that has just been on everyone's minds.
Oh, yeah.
Today, we will be discussing La Llorona.
Oh, my God.
I am so excited for this.
Oh.
We have not done an episode in Central and or South America yet.
Yeah, we have not.
This has been long overdue by a dang mile.
Yes.
I'm very happy to be doing this. Iconic. I don't know. We'll talk more about it. Is she a ghost? Is she a monster? Is she a demon? Is she... I don't know. We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Very exciting. Let's just real quick, let's get all our sources out of the way because I think we got a few of them.
We do. One is from the YouTube series that we have used multiple times here. We love here at Creep Street Podcast. And that is the Monstrum YouTube page by Dr. Emily Zarka. And we used one of her videos about La Llorona as one of our sources. And
excellent. I love that channel. It's so fun.
It's such a great channel. We highly recommend you check it out.
And it's great for like all ages too. It's not
totally. It's not like too graphic or anything.
Yeah, your kids will love it, actually.
Oh, it's so cool. Seeing the origins of all these different creatures and everything. Oh, it's so cool. And another source was the La Llorona podcast from Univision, which was very helpful and very insightful. So
very cool.
Yes, so those were my two main sources for this week.
Dylan,
I would love to hear yours.
I have as for a written source, I have an article from Mysterious Universe entitled "Colombian Town Uses Curfew to Protect Teens from Evil Spirits" by Paul Seaburn. Very interesting. And then also I will be playing some audio clips of some apparent La Llorona sightings that is quite freaky, and I will cite those where I got those when I get to them, when I get to that part of the show. But very freaky stuff.
I'm nervous to hear these.
They're
screams.
These are blood curdling, unsettling.
Because the ones that I have listened to are not the ones that you are playing in this podcast. I have not listened to them yet, so my reaction will be
authentic,
very fresh. But the recordings I have heard really, oh my God, it is
so freaky,
frightening, and just like makes your heart feel just your heart tighten, your chest.
Yeah, it's so freaky.
Ooh, okay.
So freaky.
So excited to close out the episode with those recordings. So, La Llorona is a story, legend, piece of folklore, a ghost, a cryptid, or keep it in.
Maybe a cryptid. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, just keep it in. She hails from Mexico as well as Central and South America, but she has had sightings in the U.S. actually,
as far as the American Southwest. So she roams quite a swath of territory.
Oh, absolutely, yes. So it's funny. I didn't really know that she had prevalent sightings in the U.S. I thought, if you had told me that there were 5 or something like that, I would be like, okay, yeah, interesting. But it's like a lot of people have reported seeing her, like almost as much as in Mexico or elsewhere.
Yeah, one of the audio clips, I'm going to have 2. One of them is from Mexico and the other from Colombia.
God.
So it jumps. Yeah, she covers a lot of territory.
She sure does.
Yeah.
No, La Llorona means the weeping woman in Spanish, and that's basically exactly who she is. She is this woman dressed all in white with long black hair, sometimes hanging completely over her face like Samara, and she is seen oftentimes wandering around lakes or riverbeds or bodies of water, although people have seen her in more urban areas like in Crossroads and things like that, which Crossroads, of course, comes up many, many times with the paranormal.
Yes.
We noticed that a lot with our ritual games episodes.
Absolutely.
With our yokai episodes. So very, very interesting. But her main kind of what she's really known for, her real bread and butter, as it were, would be by these bodies of water.
Absolutely.
Now, she isn't just by bodies of water. She's not just like standing there vibing.
Right.
She is wandering the riverbanks or the lakeside, and she is wailing and weeping and crying and screaming out for her children. Often you can hear her yell, "Ay, mis hijos," which means, "Oh, my children."
Right.
As well as just kind of this non-verbal, just like guttural screaming, just absolute utter despair and grief, and the kind of scream you hope you never ever hear.
Yeah, well, you're gonna hear,
and you're gonna hear
one of the episode.
Hear it, so
just
keep that in mind with your day.
The one in particular is quite ugly.
Yes. Now, why is this woman doing this? What is going on? The origin story of La Llorona differs very much from country to country, town to town, even like family to family. It can really, really change the origin story. But the general gist is that there was once a very, very beautiful indigenous woman who came from a very humble background that lived in a village that one day a man of a higher ranking than her, like a higher social standing than her, came into town, saw her, and immediately they fell in love with each other. They end up being together. They have kids together. It seems like it's a wonderful, beautiful marriage until one day her husband or her lover leaves her. Sometimes it leaves her to marry a younger woman, or sometimes to marry a woman of his social standing, a higher standing than her, and that he completely abandons her. Now, sometimes he completely abandons her and the children, and sometimes it's said that he wants to take the children with him.
Okay.
So, La Llorona, in a blind rage, or in a calculated attempt to do the thing that could hurt him the absolute most,
Right.
drowns her children. And after the children are dead, she kind of breaks out of this like spell that she was under and realizes what she did. And she either dies from despair herself, or she also takes her own life.
Not happy.
Not
Not
happy.
stuff.
Not
Very
happy.
unpleasant stuff.
I would call it, I mean, not to like be bold here, but I would call it like sad.
Bummer stuff.
Yeah, bummer stuff. You really nailed it the first time you said it. I didn't even need to go on. You just killed it. But then God curses her once she dies to spend eternity wandering the earth searching for her children that she killed. And yeah, that's kind of what is going on. How sad that is.
That's the baseline lore. That is the
Exactly.
that is the central story.
Mm-hmm. And it is said also too that like she will, in her attempt to find the souls of her children or to find her children, she will either mistakenly or on purpose take other people or other children and take them as her own children and maybe kill them as well.
Right.
In an attempt to go to heaven.
Right, because she doesn't really come for adults. You never, right? Like, does she ever attack adults or?
Well, the main kind of story that people say is more so it's towards kids, and it's often because it's kind of used as a cautionary tale to kids to say like, oh, you have to behave or else La Llorona is going to come and get you, or like you can't be wandering around at night, you can't be wandering around by yourself near water,
right?
Things like that, because La Llorona will come get you.
Common thing we've encountered in a lot of these episodes is a lot of times a lot of this lore was built to just like get your kids to behave.
It was just built around threats.
It was built around getting your kids to behave.
It truly was. And so, yeah, so it's like often considered or like connected with kids, but a lot of adults have claimed to have seen her as well.
Right.
And some people say that she will go after even adults, whereas some people say if you see her, then you will be, doomed to have bad luck or to have, negative things happen to you after you see her. Right. And also sometimes it's just you see her and it's like seeing a ghost. Nothing really happens to you.
Right, but it's still, you still see a ghost.
It's still extremely frightening, but it's not like it has a long-term, like, you will be cursed because you see her. But sometimes people do say that, so I don't know.
Yeah, and you can, obviously, there's plenty of YouTube, like, compilations of sightings and very
highly
creepy
recommend
ones.
you check those out. Because, obviously, like, some of them are
better
bullshit.
than others.
You're like, okay.
Right.
But some of them really are weird.
It's like, whether or not that's her, whatever they've captured is weird.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, whether
it's
or
just
not
very
it's
eerie and very bizarre. It's like, I wonder
what that was.
What was going on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that we know who she is, who La Llorona is, I think now we got to look back. We got to go back and find out some of her own origins, origins to the origins, as it were.
Because they go way, way back.
They do. They sure do. One possible origin for La Llorona is the Aztec goddess of motherhood and fertility named Chihuahua. And of course, once again, I'm trying to say this the right way, and I hope I'm saying it the right way, but I'm probably not, and I mean absolutely no disrespect.
Absolutely, yes. If there's going to be a few things I have to pronounce that I may get wrong, and our apologies.
Yes.
No disrespect.
No disrespect at all. Yes, she was the Aztec goddess of fertility and motherhood, and she would walk around with a cradle, weeping, and would disappear into lakes and rivers. So that's kind of a very interesting connection that's very, very similar.
Lakes and rivers, obviously, we know that water is always...
Yes. It's water,
like it's everywhere in this stuff.
Water is such a constant in so much of the paranormal.
Yeah.
And it's so cool that our ancestors or people's ancestors from, years and years and years and years and years, from thousands of years ago.
You're right.
Also knew that.
Right.
And really believed that and like used that as a way to really conduct their lives.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
We'll have to look up hauntings that take place in dry areas like deserts.
Right. Well, I mean, that's where like, Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, that's true.
Places like that. So,
yeah, that's interesting.
I guess really it's just everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's gosh darn everywhere. Now, also, Aztec women who died in childbirth were very, very highly regarded in their society. They were the only women that could gain access to the afterlife, like male warriors were also able to get into the afterlife. So just that right away kind of connects the situation with being the connection of death and life at the same time and how that can, I don't know. It's just very, very interesting.
Yeah,
but
very interesting.
when these women who died during childbirth, when they would cross over to the afterlife, they would become these night ghosts or goddesses of the Crossroads.
Okay.
Back to Crossroads, named Chua Piplin. They would stand at the crossroads to scare children and tempt men.
Okay, so this is interesting because they get access to the afterlife. It seems like this means so they died nobly.
Right, yes.
You would think that they would be like more benevolent.
I know, it's very interesting.
You'd think they would come back as like guardian angels or something.
Right. If someone else out there knows more information about these Aztec goddesses, I would absolutely love to hear it. I know we do have a lot of listeners in Mexico or listeners from anywhere that might know about this. Please reach out because I want to know more. This is as much as I was able to get to. I don't really know, how that works. Like, they were one of the only two groups of people that could get into the afterlife.
That's
and you're right. It's doesn't sound like super fun, but maybe it is good. I don't know. I mean, you are goddesses. That is cool as hell.
Yeah. Interesting.
But in the 16th century, Spanish conquistadors led by Hernan Cortez arrived in the Americas, and that influence from Europe also very much changed and influenced La Llorona as well.
Very interesting.
One thing was Greek mythology kind of affected how La Llorona was continued to form.
Right.
Was Medea, from the Greek enchantress from Greek mythology. And in that story, she kills her own children because her husband leaves her.
Interesting.
Yes.
And it was at a family reunion?
Oh my God. Yeah, it was at a family reunion. Also, the introduction of Christianity really changed it too and kind of introduced God and heaven into the story and kind of like that kind of interpretation.
Yeah, and that's the also thing about that Aztec interpretation, how I was kind of like, that seems odd. Their interpretations of good and evil might have been different than in the pre-Christian, pre-Catholic.
Yeah, we're both so used to the Christian idea of heaven too. So maybe we're the ones that are like assuming.
Yeah, we were just
too
assuming
much,
what is. Yeah, absolutely.
So no, you're totally right. Yeah, maybe maybe we're the ones that are odd. But another huge influence on La Llorona was La Malinche, who was a woman that was born to a noble family in Mexico. But when the Spanish conquistadors arrived in the Americas, there was a peace agreement where La Malinche was actually one of 20 enslaved women that was given to Hernan Cortez.
Oh.
So yes, she was a noble woman, and then she was turned on a dime and she was, enslaved.
Wow.
But she immediately became invaluable to Hernan Cortez and his men. She ended up being a translator and a diplomat, as well as Hernan Cortez's mistress, and was the mother to his first son.
Oh, wow.
Her son was legitimized, but then he was sent away to Spain for education.
Oh.
Yes. And the conquest of the area she was living in really could not have happened without her. So history really looks back on her in a very, very conflicted way.
Okay.
Anywhere from she's a traitor to she was a victim.
Very interesting. Okay.
So yeah, this is very interesting.
How it's tied up in, very
with
interesting.
Malinche has a very, very similar kind of origin to La Llorona.
Right.
I mean, it's incredibly similar. similar.
Right.
They're both indigenous women who end up being left by Spanish men and have their children taken from them in some capacity.
Right.
Also kind of the thought of feeling a lot of different ways about a person. Like with La Llorona, you feel bad for her because of how much pain she's in and the huge mistake she realizes she made, and that you feel bad for her that she, had to go through so much heartbreak. But at the same time, a person who kills their own child is vile.
Yeah.
So,
it is this weird dichotomy of you do feel bad for her, but it's like, don't kill your kids.
yeah, it's like, but yeah,
Don't kill
I
your
mean,
kids.
you can't do. I don't care what the situation is. You can't do it.
You can't do
You
it.
just can't do it, and
can't
that's a
do
rule.
it.
It's a
Sorry.
rule.
You can't.
You just can't.
It's weird.
I hate
Just
to say it. I hate to tell you that,
Don't
but you
do
just
it.
can't do it, you guys.
Can't do it, guys.
I know. It's such a shock to hear sometimes, but that's kind of similar to with Malinche, where you could see both sides of the argument about her being a traitor and also about how she was a victim of her own circumstance as well.
Right.
So I think that is just so interesting to see those paired together. And Dr. Emily Zarka said it best, I think, when she said that they, quote, contribute to each other's folklore. I just like the way she said that, how they both kind of, so they're separate from each other but are so connected, and change of thinking in one way can really affect a change in thinking of the other.
Absolutely.
So yeah, she's most often seen by bodies of water, which makes sense,
Right.
because of this. But she's been seen at crossroads, highways, and then also just in completely random places as well.
Yeah. Crossroads is another genre we've got to get in.
We got to do at least a full episode on Crossroads, and we will. That will be coming up soon, folks. We promise. And some people say that you will see her in the back seat of your car if you don't offer her a ride. Like if you see her on the road and you don't offer her a ride, she will like appear in the back seat of your car.
So if you don't offer, she's going to take a ride.
She's going to take a ride.
But what happens if you offer her a fucking ride?
I think she just wants to know that you would offer, Then she's probably like, no, I'll take the bus.
That's kind of a shitty game to play.
No, it's rude.
It's kind of a shitty game
And
to
it's
play.
also like, I don't know you. I'm not going to invite you in my car.
Yeah.
I listen to Creep Street Podcast. I know that's how all murders start.
Yeah. Also, how do you know you want to get in my fucking car? I could be the fucking madman.
I mean, you're right.
I could be fucking nuts.
You're right. She can be seen as many different things. She can be seen as a warning to women to be careful not to let your guard down around these men.
Right.
It can be seen as like a warning to children, as we said before, like warning them, basically scare the boogeyman, trying to scare kids. Also, she can be seen as a metaphor for the grief of the thousands and thousands of indigenous people that were lost during the conquest.
Yes.
And also it can be seen as the, like the painful merging of the native cultures and the European cultures that were coming in.
Right.
And, how it can be so many different things at once. You can feel so many different ways at once, and it's complicated.
Right.
It's not cut and dry. And I think that's really important in this story. And I think that's important in life too,
Absolutely.
So that is La Llorona. But Dylan, I think we need to hear her.
Absolutely.
He's nodding. Dylan's nodding at me.
Absolutely. My first thing here, this first audio clip, this is freaky. Now, the source is a YouTube video that I had to use Google Translate. It translates to La Llorona appears in Cuernavaca, Morelos. The YouTube channel is Cuckoo TV, CUCU TV. Now, this clip I'm about to share with you, it's pretty freaky. This was actually shared to us by the Dream James Watkins.
Oh, that's right.
He posted this in our Citizens of the Milky Way forum over a year ago.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And I'm glad he did because we can use this clip from it. So
thank you.
The video was captured by a security guard in this city of Cuernavaca, Mexico, which is the capital city in the state of Morelos, located just south of Mexico City.
Okay.
So the video was posted by that channel. I'm going to guess it's some sort of news outlet. So this video is very chilling, but maybe it is a ghost, but maybe it's also a woman that is very much alive and going through something awful. So just remember that. Here it is.
Okay. God, I hope that's a hoax.
I hope so too. It's pretty.
That is fucking.
Awful.
I hated that. I really hated that. That made my heart hurt so bad.
Awful. But yeah, very, very freaky. But this is a story very, very interesting. Keep in mind, this article was posted November of 2018. So the troubles with these evil spirits may have passed by now.
Okay.
So just keep in mind, this is a few years ago, but pretty interesting stuff. In northern Colombia, you'll find a small town by the name of Pajarito, which has a population of about 1,700 people. In late 2018, a number of reports came in about teenagers behaving weirdly. There was threats of suicide, but on top of that, there were reports of unexplained convulsions and fainting spells. And parents reported their teenagers' voices suddenly changing drastically.
Oh my God.
In ways that clearly were not like related to puberty.
No, right, yeah.
Strangely enough, this whole thing also revolved around WhatsApp.
What?
Apparently, a group of about 15 teenagers between the ages of 15 and 17 had started a WhatsApp chat where they all dared each other to do spooky shit like conjuring spirits.
No.
Well, the mayor of this town, Inocencio Perez, heard about this and decided to intervene. He instituted a curfew for teenagers after dark unless they were out in the company of their parents. Here's a quote from the mayor.
Wow.
Some children were saying that they were going to commit suicide, that because their time had come, they were going to jump off a bridge. They spoke incoherently. To protect the life and integrity of children and adolescents in the municipality of Pajarito, they will not be allowed to be in public places and or commercial establishments of the municipality except in the company of their parents or custodian. There are parents who have thanked me, but some kids are currently in a bad mood.
They're in a bad mood. Oh my God, that is fucking scary.
And that was in 2018. I don't know what's going on now, but that was 2018. So this is also interesting. Now, this was something that actually they talked about on Coast to Coast AM.
Oh, yes.
With George Norrie. This is a video of what a witness claims was La Llorona in a tree, and the sound is of her crying. This was taken near Christmas of 2019 in the Colombian town of Monitos.
Okay.
That one sounds like a bunch of dogs.
That sounds like a bunch of dogs.
Well, in that very first one sounds like, I feel like I've heard that like it was a sound effect in something.
It doesn't sound like a human's voice at all.
It does sound like a dog, but I feel like I heard like that was a sound sample.
Right.
I could be dead wrong, but I feel like it was in like a show or something. They used it as a sound clip. It sounds like a ringtone.
It really sounds like a bunch of German shepherds to me.
But the video is freaky. The figure standing in the tree is quite unsettling.
Yeah, we'll post the video on our Facebook, and you guys let us know what you think.
It is freaky. Now, I'm not saying that this video is legit. I'm not trying, but I feel like I've heard that noise, that sound. I feel like it was like a sound clip, like a sound bite I've heard.
I mean, I'll tell you what, it's weird.
It's very weird.
Very fucking weird.
Very fucking weird.
Well, that is going to wrap us up for La Llorona. Thank you so much for listening and for joining us for this fun episode.
Of course, Maureen, thank you for all that research.
Oh my gosh, of course. It is my absolute pleasure.
Real quick, of course, always my favorite part of the show.
Yes, Dylan, please do it. We need it.
Here are the names of our top tier Patreon subscribers. Of course, the Dream James Watkins, the Finnish Face Via Lungfist, the Madman Marcus Hall, the Vivacious Vicky McHugh, the Tenacious Teresa Hackworth, the Heartbreak Kid, Chris Hackworth, the oh-so-suave Sean Richardson, the British Bonebreaker, Bex Martin, the Notorious Nicholas Barker, the Terrifying Taylor Lashmet, the Count of Cool, Cameron Corliss, the Archduke of Attitude, Adam Archer, the Sinister Sam Kiker, the Nightmare of New Zealand, Noeline Vivilli, the Loathsome Johnny Love, and the Carnivorous Kevin Bogey.
Wow, Dylan, thank you so much for reading those righteous names. We really love to hear them. Now, if you want to be like those people or any of our other Patreon donors, we ask you to head on over to patreon.com and check out our Patreon. We have 3 great tiers. First, we have a $2 tier, which comes with a one-time episode shout out, access to our Creep Street Discord.
Yeah, we talk a lot about video games and wrestling. Every now and then we talk about paranormal stuff in there, but a lot of times we're talking about video games and movies and wrestling and
just anything.
People
are just talking about lots of different stuff in there. It's like, there's so many different like groups. You can talk about so many different things. It's a blast.
And that's open to all levels of the Patreon.
That's right. You also will get random monthly bonus content drops on the podcast. That will be at least once a month. It's often more than that. We'll give you some great bonus audio content. Some things that we've done, we've recorded original short stories.
Oh, yeah.
We have ranked all of the Conjuring movies.
Yes.
Really a huge array of different things.
This month we're going to do Malignant, the new James Wan thriller comes out. It will be in theaters and day one on HBO Max. We're going to watch that. We'll do both a spoiler-free thing on it and our spoilers talk of
our spoiler cast.
Yeah, our spoiler cast.
Exactly. Now we also have a $5 tier, and that you'll get everything we just said, of course, about our first tier donors, as well as one free bonus episode every single month.
Yes.
That is where we do some, of course, it's a full bonus episode where we're a little bit looser, a little bit freer with everything. So it's a fun kind of it's the same Creep Street you love with just a little bit of a different kind of spice to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we also have our top tier, our third tier Patreon donors. That's our $10 tier. And that gives you everything we just listed, of course, as well as a shout out every single episode.
Yes.
And you will get another bonus episode every single month.
Yes.
So that will be a total of 2 bonus episodes every month, as well as random monthly content drops.
Absolutely.
So we have a lot of great different options. If you're interested in any of those, or if you're just curious about what we got going on, feel free to check out patreon.com/Creep Street Podcast.
Yes.
And other ways to support the podcast is just to like, rate, subscribe, tell a friend about the podcast, share us on social media,
please
comment on our photos, comment on the YouTube videos, really anything like that really adds up, and we really, really appreciate it. We've been getting more and more 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, and we so appreciate that. And if you could just give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen, it would really just mean the world to us.
And I want to give a quick shout out to the 24-karat killer, Cody Grant, and the president of Pain, Samantha Permain.
Wow. Thank you so much to all of you. We are so grateful to have you aboard and to have you as a part of the Creep Street Homeowners Association.
Absolutely. All right. Well, citizens of the Milky Way, my name is Dylan Hackworth.
I'm Maureen Bogey.
A good night and goodbye.
Goodbye now.